If you could do me a huge favor, if you like this video, please, please, please like and subscribe and share it with a friend. My goal is to share massive value that's going to impact your life in a positive way. So, this conversation today is about situational awareness, seeing clearly, acting decisively. I really believe that situational awareness is one of the most important qualities if you want to grow your business. And I've been in the business now, real estate, for 20 years. I've built up an organization also with the company that I'm with now, EXP Realty, of 2,000 professionals all over the world internationally. We're in 44 markets, 11 countries, and we did close to 10,000 transactions in the last 12 months. And I've also built several other companies utilizing artificial intelligence. My goal today is to show you some of the things that I've learned. And one of the key things that has been highlighted throughout my life that has made me really powerful in anything that I decide to do, it's situational awareness. And I see a lot of people that have a lot of situational awareness that do extremely well. I understand when I meet with somebody, man, this person has a lot of situational awareness. And you think about comedians have a lot of situational awareness as well because they're so in the moment, so present. They're able to pick up on cues, and then they're also able to extract the funniness or the wisdom, whatever the goal intention is of the person. Situational awareness is going to play in your sales role, right? We're looking at real estate, and you're working with customers, you're working with the buyer, or you're working with the seller. Situational awareness, again, you've been aware, in the moment, present, really there to understand that person and figure out how you could serve them to get them to their destination, removing yourself 100%. And I've been told this by many different people that are very, very wealthy. Actually, they've said, like, "Hey, Leo, you have a lot of situational awareness." So they started saying it, and I started researching. I'm like, "Wait, I didn't even know I had the situational awareness." I'm like, "This is great." So I did a bunch of research. So my goal here is to help you to achieve more situational awareness in everything that you do. So why it matters: the world moves faster than most people can perceive. Okay, that's one. Decisions are made in seconds, and the consequences last years. If a customer looks at you and within 3 seconds they decide that you're not the person because you are not situationally aware, maybe you said something or you're not prepared, there's something that you're not perceiving about the world that is not, people can feel when you're really there for them and when you're there for yourself. That emotional awareness and situational awareness, to be able to understand that. And awareness is the invisible edge of elite performers. Okay, you will notice this after you start to go through this training today. You're going to start to notice, like, oh, that person has a lot of situational awareness. It's people that are really fluid in the conversation, that are really present, that they could take them to the goal because they're in tune, they're present, and that's going to open up a lot of doors. So let's define situational awareness. It's the ability to perceive what is happening, interpret what it means, and anticipate what happens next. Situational awareness also gives you pattern recognition, which pattern recognition is probably the most important thing if you're trying to build a business, because you're able to recognize patterns, things that are moving more. For example, if you have different lead sources, and then one of your lead sources start to do better than your goal because you have situational awareness, you're aware of that. And also pattern recognition tells you, let me multiply that multiplier. I'm a big believer that you got to multiply the multiplier. So that's the definition right there. And also situational aware people, awareness versus reaction. People that are situation aware, they are very aware of their environment and they're proactive. But people that are not situation aware, they're very reactive, and people around them are like, hey, you know what? You cross the line here, you cross the line there, and you make people feel uncomfortable. And this might be why people choose not to work with you, by the way. If you are saying, like, why did I get ghosted? Why did that person not call me back? Why didn't they want to do business with me? Well, it might be because you were not present enough to listen to the person, and you missed a whole bunch of cues, and that person decided to go with someone else because they felt heard. So again, if you are getting ghosted, that's a really clear example that you need to work on your situational awareness. If you don't get calls back, you don't have situational awareness, or you got to work on it. Those are different things there. Like, and it's an example, right? But aware people are calm, observant, strategic, and grounded. The reaction individual is emotional, assumptive, right? Impulsive and fear driven. That's the two clear distinctions. And now this is the three levels of awareness. Perception of what I see, number one. Comprehension, what does it mean, number two. And then projection, what happens next, number three. Most people stop here, by the way. Perception, what do I see? They stop here, but they don't understand the meaning. This little dig deeper. And then also what happens next, which is the pattern recognition. You working on this in real life, well, you can see a customer and they might not work with you, or they're reacting to you very negatively, is because you might be missing cues. It's not that you're trying to people please, by the way. I don't want you to think that you have to people please to, like, you're in a conversation to serve someone. That's how I believe. If I'm in front of somebody, I'm the most qualified to serve that person, and they are going to be completely at a disadvantage if they don't work with me. So I really believe that figuring out like a way to connect with them, to help them and to understand that this is the place for them to be. Level one, let's break that down. Noticing the details others miss. This is where you're gonna get those gems. You're gonna get those things that customers gonna say. You might miss the mark because you missed that little cue. They might have said, "Hey, you know what? It's really important. I really want to be close to my brother." And all of a sudden, you didn't ask where the brother lives, and you're asking them next, "Hey, what city are you looking in?" Well, an emotionally aware person would have been like, man, that's an anchor of connection. That person really wants to be in the city. Hey, where does your brother live? Oh, your brother lives in Newport Beach. Oh, fantastic. Newport Beach. We're going to look at Newport Beach. Is that the only city that you want to look in? Right. You're going to notice the small details. And the more you practice, by the way, the more you're going to get better at this. Okay. So don't beat yourself up if you're not, like, picking up on all these cues. But first of all, it comes with you having confidence. That way you can be present and really serve somebody. Identifying change in the environment. Again, that person might change their tone, their physiology, because most communication is physiological. It's not even what we say. It's nonverbal cues. It equates to almost 70% of all communication or more. And then also, again, observe people, tone, pace, and energy. These are the four things you really want to look with somebody. Their tone, are they getting upset? If they have a faster pace and you're being super slow, that might irritate them. So you want to pivot and maneuver. The thing is that you got to mirror match and then gradually take them where you want to get to. The energy is really important. Energy is everything. Actually, it's most important. I would say it's the most important. I would say that would be the most important in everything. It's the energy, because people don't pay attention necessarily what you say, but they feel what you say. The energy. That's how you get. Oh, I got a good feeling about that person. It's an energy. It's an energy signature. So number two, comprehension. You're able to connect the dots. You can read the patterns, and you can also understand the context, which, by the way, context is so important. If you don't know the context of something, of why, it's basically like the why are you doing this? Like, why is this important? Like, give me the context. It's like the bowl where the goal lives in. What is the overarching why? That is what the context clearly is. Number three, projections. That might happen. This might happen. Okay, let me go ahead and verbalize this to my client and say, hey, by the way, I've already taken a proactive approach. I've ordered the home inspection. The appraisal's been ordered. Basically, you want to give them communication before they ask you, because an emotionally aware person understands that your customer's probably thinking about these things, and if you don't update them, then that means that they're going to be wondering, like, what's going on, and they're going to start to feel unmotivated. They're going to start to feel uninspired. They're going to start to second guess themselves. They're going to start to second guess you, and they're not going to have a good experience, and you're not going to get a referral, which is what you want at the end of the day. You want to do a great service. That way people can refer you to someone else. Seeing second and third order effects, not just looking at like what happens directly, the impact of like one thing you say or one thing you do, but what is the second and third layer of like the impact. Look ahead of what can happen by that. Now, and positioning before pressure arrives, because this is where you start to, again, verbalize and then help the customer anticipate, or help the person anticipate. Situational awareness can be applied to relationships, by the way. It can be applied, obviously, to your business, which we're talking about now, but it could be applied to anything. Situational aware could also be like, hey, with your kids. I have a son, and my situational awareness is like, right now, I understand that 65%, 70% or more of his communication is nonverbal. And I get to clearly see that I'm communicating with my son. It's like not even 2 months old, but it's because I'm situationally aware and I understand his physiology, like what he's trying to communicate with me without saying, or vice versa. I could say certain things to him and he doesn't need to understand what I'm saying, but he feels my energy. So nonverbal communication is so important. And this is where, again, situational awareness comes in. The awareness loop, right? It's a continuous cycle, right? And elite performers know this, okay? This is something that if you don't know about, this is where you're going to be learning today. So, you know, leaders must read the room, people, and moments, right? This is what situational awareness looks like in leadership, right? If you're somebody that's leading a team, leading an organization, leading a company, how does it look like? Well, you must be able to read the room, the people, and the moments. This is very important. You can walk into an office setting, or you might be on a stage and you're communicating, with the audience, which is these agents that you're leading. This is going to get you, again, the context of how you want to move forward and the people. So you have to understand who you're communicating with, who's the audience. So you got to understand that. And you might not say certain things to certain people, and especially if you're in a business setting. So you got to understand you're not on the couch, talking to a family member about some random thing. So you have to use different type of tonality, different energy, and also be emotionally and intelligent enough to understand that you should say certain things in a public setting versus not saying in a public setting. And by the way, in leadership, everything you say, no matter how small, is recorded. Everything is noticed, right? So this is where I see a lot of people in leadership drop the ball, by the way. They think that, they're going to focus on the quote unquote important people, and then someone else comes in that might not be quote unquote important, which I think is like complete BS. I think every single person is important, right? That's how I treat every single person. But some people, again, situationally lack awareness. They might treat somebody that's more important differently than they would the person that's less important. And you're not, and I'm not saying we are going to treat, people that perform better in our organization, we're going to treat them differently. But at the same time, every single person deserves honor, respect, and your attention, especially if they decided to be under your leadership. You might think that, hey, I'm going to say something like, maybe disrespectful or disregarding to this person. I'm just going to flat out ignore them. You think that doesn't matter. But again, looking at it at second and third layer, that person's going to tell someone else. And before you know it, every single person is like, man, you know what? This person never gets back to me. This like is always so busy, never picks up his call. So now that becomes a pattern, and that pattern is spread throughout your entire organization, and that your organization is going to start to decay. So that's what you don't want. Also, moments, right? If you have a special moment with somebody and you maybe don't remember that, or you fail to acknowledge it, what if maybe they just had a kid, or maybe they had someone in their family pass. If you miss that subtle cue, or just remembering somebody's name, again, situational awareness, you have to understand that those things are extremely important. Leadership question is, what is happening beneath the surface? I understand this across the board for everything. Now, awareness is really going to come in play under pressure. Under stress, your vision narrows, emotions rise, and the defaults take over, which defaults are survival mostly. So what happens in those moments is that emotional awareness goes out the window. This is where you're going to practice this muscle again. If somebody is maybe saying something disrespectful, or is this actually happened to me, by the way. There was somebody on social media that started saying some really negative things to me, and I did not react, and I did not disrespect that person, even though that person was quote unquote disrespecting me. I didn't take it personal. I took the high road because I am a leader. And that person decided to take the low road, right? And offend and do all of these things, but I still kept my composure and I didn't retaliate. Under that pressured moment, I could have easily reacted and, called this person names, and, I would have been very justified, and I would have had a lot of people agree with me. But again, I took the higher road, and anticipating as a leader, the message that became was, hey, this is a leadership style of Leo, and this is a leadership style of someone else. And they can clearly see two different people, not right or wrong, right? Two different people, two different communities, two different organizations. And they get to say, hey, you know what? I relate more to this type of energy, or I relate to more of this type of energy. Again, and that's when it gets tough, by the way. When it matters the most, that's where situational awareness is going to be very important. So again, this is not something that's like, oh, I think I'm going to get good at it. This is everything. Awareness versus anxiety. Awareness is calm and expansive. Anxiety is loud and constructive. Okay. So awareness is more about listening. Awareness is more about understanding. Awareness is more about how can I serve? This anxiety side, I mean, you already know. So if the mind is noisy, awareness is low. This is why you got to meditate. This is why you have to journal. This is why you got to do different things like that to get your mind quiet. I do a lot of meditation. I do a lot of exercise. It's to definitely to be a little bit more calm. So these are things that can kill your awareness, your ego. I already know everything. If you have an attitude that I already know everything, I mean, this is going to kill situational awareness. Also, being distracted, again, kill situational awareness. Emotional attachment, you have an outcome and you're attached. And so you're going to get upset and emotional. That's going to kill your awareness. Rigid thinking, that your way of thinking is the only way and that's the right way. Fatigue, this is all, and you might just be tired. This is all the things you want to avoid. Okay, do not be this person. And I'm pretty sure by when I'm talking about this, you can probably think about a person that might be like this. Hopefully this is not you. And if it is, this is your message. This is a reminder to not be this person, because when you do this, you're not going to win at the end of the day. You're not going to win. The other person's not going to win. This is going to help you to serve more people and serve yourself at a higher level. Now, do a 60-second like little scan. You might want to pause this video, but observe the space, right, that's around you. That's step number one. So just sit there and observe the space around you. Now, the second thing is know people, exits, and energy, right? So just notice. And number three, identify what changed since you arrived. So try to figure that out with your environment. And then now this exercise, when you're done, is going to help you to start to become more aware of your environment, of the people. And again, this is going to make you much more powerful in the communication with anybody you're trying to either influence or work with. Pattern recognition. I talked about this. What feels normal? What feels off? And what's the likely next move? Your pattern recognition. And I think parents do a pretty good job of this. They're trying to anticipate the next move of their child. So this is probably going to be easier for parents. Maybe. Again, this is a maybe. I feel like anybody could learn this, by the way, because I mean, I just recently became a father and this is my first child. I have high levels of situational awareness. So I'm not saying you need a child for that, but that's what you're trained as yourself to recognize patterns. Daily awareness practice. Pause before you respond, right? If you get a question or somebody says something, pause. Ask, what am I not seeing? Enter rooms intentionally and debrief decisions daily, right? So you want to review that at the end of the day and just say, you know what? I made this decision, made this decision, made this decision. I had this interaction, this interaction, this interaction. I do this automatically in my brain, by the way. Like at the end of the day, I start like thinking about the conversations that I had and I start to review what I could have done better. Maybe I might have dropped the ball. I could have said something, or maybe I said something that was really good. I'm like, wow, I got to incorporate that in every conversation now. So debrief so you can be more and more aware. Situational awareness is going to be your superpower. This is your advantage. So number one, you're going to have better decisions. Number two, you're going to make fewer mistakes. Number three, you're going to have stronger leadership. And number four, you're going to be earlier positioned. This is going to help you have a huge edge. And especially as we're stepping into 2026, this is going to be right in line with that. So closing thought, calm awareness is the highest form of power. See clearly, more deliberately, lead decisively. I think if you really focus on this, honestly, this will 10x your business, literally, because there's not a single more important thing than you connecting with the human, especially if you're building a business, to understand that human at the highest level and to anticipate that human's needs ahead of their own thinking. This is going to position you to be the go-to authority. And it's also going to position you as the leader that people want to follow, because you are about people. You're about others, not about yourself. And the beautiful thing that happens is that when you focus on others, yourself, you get everything you want. It's just the way it works. I hope you found this valuable. Please like and subscribe and share this video with anyone you think might be finding value in this. And stay tuned for more videos coming soon. Peace.